You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
Getting to the Browns. Like, I just watched this team, and it's like, is Deshaun Watson ever going to get there? Because I see a really talented football team who makes a lot of plays, does a lot of things right, a defense that just flies around, man, and has so much talent and flies to the football, gives such incredible effort on a down-to-down basis. And pass catchers like David Njoku and Amari Cooper, who are leaving it all out on the field, but the passes just aren't there a lot of the times. They're missing. Nothing's within structure with Watson in the games. Like, I watched 4 different games from Watson last year. It was like everything is late or out of structure or not within the scheme that works. Stuff that isn't working or stuff that he's missing is trying to be within structure. And it's just like, I understand why Stefanski and Barry just got that extension if Watson was just the owner saying, like, we're going to do this, because they've done a hell of a job building this team and coaching this team with Deshaun Watson being not on the field or not good when he's on the field.
You and I talked about it when he was on the Texans, like, good numbers, but like he got away with a lot that he shouldn't have early on in Houston before the off the field stuff.
That Bill O'Brien offense was all about opening up deep shots, and so his ability to extend until he had just moments to toss
and I think
it
people
up to
forget
DeAndre Hopkins, who was the best receiver in football. Like, yeah, that was there.
I feel like because Bill O'Brien's legacy in Houston's obviously tainted whenever he became the GM, but people forget like how damn good of a coach he was.
Yeah, I mean he ran a really good offense. He was a weird coach. Like he was. Yeah. There was some weird like
and he had a
personality stuff, but like he ran a quality offense.
And he had a face that was easily like hateable.
Yeah, very punchable face.
I thought it was crazy that they gave up what they gave up for Watson. I think they would have been better off waiting or going elsewhere. But I mean, when you have a roster like this, and when you think there's a guy that might have the potential that Watson has, I mean, you can't blame them for trying, especially with the history of Cleveland and what they've gone through. But you look at this team now, you look at this coaching staff, you look at what they can be, and you're like, man, like...
They're so good. They are so talented, and that quarterback position has just been holding them back. Like, it's painful.
Very, very painful. And
like, I was watching Browns-Ravens today, and it was just like, they kept putting the ball on the ground because I didn't think they trusted Watson.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about this is the team got better when Joe Flacco took over for Deshaun Watson.
Like, and they ran him out of town.
This roster should not get better with a retired quarterback versus the guy you paid $1 billion to. And there ain't nothing you can do. But, I mean, we can go through the rest of this roster real quick, starting the offense. Like, I think Jerry Jeudy was a very underrated wide receiver last year. I think he's highly skilled. But
Steve Smith called him out, and he didn't answer.
He didn't answer, but
instantly makes me question him. Like,
but he's also the second or third option on this team, to where he was having to like try to be the one in Denver.
You're right. Like, hey, if Steve Smith didn't call him out, I wouldn't be saying this. It's just that Steve Smith called him out, and he shrunk. He didn't stand up to the moment.
But Amari Cooper is an absolute dog. He's probably still only like 23 years old. Like, he was so young coming into the league.
Came in the league at 12 years old. It was like unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, like, people don't realize he's younger than Calvin Ridley. Which
is he really?
Yeah. Calvin Ridley
was a 25-year-old rookie. I knew that.
Calvin Ridley got drafted 3 years after Amari Cooper, and they went to the same school. And Amari Cooper was younger than Calvin Ridley.
Just wild.
It's ludicrous. But he's an incredible route runner. I don't really think he has bad hands, but he'll have stretches of dropping some. But overall, like, great hands. Elijah Moore, he's one of those guys that, like, you hear the name and you're like, oh yeah, he's good. But is he? But
he's a fine 2 or 3 in my mind.
But I think that's a great
said for Jeudy. So like you got a 2-3
it's
there.
A great
like,
3.
Yeah.
That's a great 3 wide receivers. Then David Njoku just quietly gets better every year.
Dude,
like I don't think
he hit another level last year of just like he started going full beast mode on people after like he had that kitchen fire where he suffered 3rd-degree burns and he was playing through it.
Like he was over at Freddie's house.
Yeah, he was over at Freddie's house and stuff got wild in the kitchen. He was just truck sticking people.
His ascension has just been so fun to watch because what was he out of Miami coming into the draft?
Yeah.
Very, very raw. First 2 or 3 years, it was like, yeah, he's kind of starting to get it, but like, will he ever really elevate and ascend? And then last year, like you said, just really took off. And then this is the team where you look at this running back room and I mean, Nick Chubb got hurt last year, but I feel like Nick Chubb might be the most disrespected man in football. When that man is healthy, there ain't a defense on this planet that can stop him.
Yeah, he is a freak. It's what was it, an ACL?
Yeah, which these days I don't worry about ACLs.
Was that his second though?
Second since college, but different knee.
Oh, different knee. Okay, then I don't think
because that's why Sony Michel was drafted over him because him and Sony Michel shared a backfield in Georgia. And Sony Michel got drafted in the first round, and Nick Chubb was second round.
Well, Sony will always have the electronics fortune to fall back on, I guess.
Wrong name. First name Sony.
But in this running back room, even if Chubb is impacted
Ford
by
was
that,
good last year. Denzel Foreman's a more than reliable option.
Yeah, he's a solid play. Like they have a lot of depth here and they have Nyheim Hines too. Who knows what he is anymore? But like that's like your fifth.
Who knows what he ever was?
Oh, I know what he was. He was a
great pass catching
man. He was good.
Yeah. I mean, I love this roster. I have zero faith in this quarterback. But you want to go look at the defense?
Let's look at O-line for a moment.
O-line, okay.
Jedrick Wills is interesting. Like he was highly drafted. He's fine. He's never quite lived up to the draft pedigree, in my opinion. But I mean, he's your left tackle, and he's going to continue being your left tackle.
Are they still paying Conklin a shit ton of money?
Probably.
How much has he played for them since he got there?
He played 2% of the snaps last year. He had an All-Pro year the year before.
I know he was solid for a little bit, but I knew he missed a lot last year, and I think this is year 4 for him there.
If Conklin goes down, you still got DeJuan Jones there, who did have a little bit of injuries last year, but he was awesome when he was on the field. I was a big fan of DeJuan Jones when he was drafted, so I think that was an absolute steal for them. So I like the depth of this room, even if there is some injury concern in there. I think James Hudson, I saw some games where he was playing. He felt serviceable to me. Like I don't think you wanted him on the field, but you could survive it. Wyatt Teller, probably the best run blocking guard in the NFL.
This interior O-line is very, very good.
Yeah. Teller, I do worry a little bit about his pass pro. I think his numbers look a little better than they actually looked on tape here. But he was fine in pass pro. Like that's not to say he's bad at it, but he's a much better run blocker than he is pass protector. Joel Bitonio, consummate pro. Guy does it all. Ethan Pochik has really come into his own in this scheme. And then behind them, I mean, they got depth. They drafted Zach Zinner, who should be back from the broken leg this season, I would think. So that's great depth there. They got Brian Allen on the cheap, who was a starting center for a Super Bowl winning team a few years ago in the Rams. Luke Whippler seemed like a solid center. I'm not exactly sure why he fell in the draft last year, but I mean, he was a good value pick, and I think some of it was personality driven. Like he's just kind of a weird dude, if I remember correctly. But I mean, we'll see how that ends up there, if he even has to play, because they got a lot of depth there. On the D line, I mean, you got Dalvin Tomlinson back, who was a really good player for them last year, really good pass rusher. Added Quentin Jefferson, who wreaked havoc next to Quentin Williams last year in New York.
Which is a pretty advantageous spot to be.
Yeah, no, it is. But I mean, you go from that to playing next to Myles Garrett. Like,
who?
Myles Garrett.
Is he good?
He's okay. I love
helmet
Michael
beater.
Hall, who they got in the draft out of Ohio State. I think he was an absolute steal. Even in the second round, which was probably earlier than a lot of places had him going. I don't care. I think the upside with him is huge.
He was good at Ohio State.
He was good at Ohio State, and he was playing at like 280 pounds. And then he beefs up to 300 for his pro day and still tests freaky as hell athletically. Like, this dude, the upside is huge there for him, I think.
Yeah.
And then in the edge room, Myles Garrett, Darius Smith, Obo Okonkwo. Alex Wright, I think, has shown some flashes too. Like, there's just a lot of depth here, a lot of quality, and a lot to like.
Well, as good as TJ Watt is that we talked about, I mean, Myles Garrett is all that, and maybe more. I don't know, but both incredible.
Yeah. And then John Eberg back in the comments letting us know that Chubb needed 2 surgeries to fix everything. He's on track to play this year, but they aren't saying when. So thank you for the update there. In the linebacker room, I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah might be one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I mean, watching him play, like, I don't think the stats do it justice. His tape is just unreal. Some of the plays he makes, some of the stuff he does. He's so versatile. He's so fun. He's so quick to trigger down to the right spot. Like, it's not just triggering down and he's fooled by play action all the time. It's like he triggers to the right spot so consistently. He's such an impressive football player. This might be the best cornerback room in the NFL. Like, their depth is that. Like, I liked Cameron Mitchell in the draft last year. I think he played pretty well for a rookie in the 26% of the snaps he got. And Martin Emerson Jr., Greg Newsome II, and Denzel Ward, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better 3 than that as long as they're healthy. Yeah. Like that's about as good as it gets. And Grant Delpit, when he was on the field, was awesome for them. Was really just making plays in the box,
loved him coming out of
coverage. The issue for him is whether he's on the field. Their defense does take a hit when he is missing. Yeah. And next to him, they got Juan Thornhill, some combination of Thornhill and Ronnie Hickman. Both of which I think are serviceable players, but this secondary is so strong. I think it's the real strength of this defense is that ability to just play man coverage with your corners and say our front 7 is going to kill you. Like, they can do that. They have the talent, and it's how they win. It's how they won last year. It's how they need to win because their quarterback is that. That's their quarterback. Like, their quarterback has played 5 games last year, and he was good in one of them.
The shining part of this team is that you have Jameis Winston as your backup quarterback. All right, so looking at these playoff these future projections here, we have a win total of 8.5 at -138 for the over, +112 for the under. Playoffs at +140 for making the playoffs, -170 for missing the playoffs. Winning the division at +500. AFC champs at +2100 and Super Bowl at +4000.
I like division. I like playoffs.
I like the under.
I could see that. It just depends on how far Watson can tank them. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's at +112, but I mean at even money, like I don't trust Watson, and I'll keep saying it as we keep talking AFC. I mean, this conference is gonna be a bloodbath, and this is the best division in the conference. 8.5. I mean, I don't think they're just gonna waltz their way to 9 wins. Like they wouldn't have. I think three. They wouldn't have won 9 games last year if Joe Flacco wasn't their savior.
I think 3 teams in this division are making the playoffs, so I think the division is safe as long as it's plus money for any of them. You know?
Yeah, but it's just crazy because I love this roster.
Yeah, that's where I'm saying. You know what this is? This is the Jay Cutler Bears.
I trusted Jay Cutler more than Deshaun Watson, though.
I mean, the defense is going to win the football games. That's how it's going to have to be. The defense in the ground game, and they have the O-line to keep it on the ground, and they have the defense to just kill you. It's just a question of whether that's going to be enough.
If we're talking strictly value here, I don't see them winning the division. I guess 5-1 for this division. Like, anything can happen. We already talked
throw
about
a shekel on it. That's what I mean.
Yeah, we've already kind of talked about Lamar and how dependent they are on his ability to stay healthy. So, I mean, let's say Lamar has issues, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. Then Joe Burrow obviously hasn't been able to stay healthy. And then if it's a division race between them and the Steelers, like I could see it.
Yeah,
I could see a realm.
I wouldn't put much on division because you're saying like the Bengals are winning this division. I really think. So like so playoffs would be the play for me.
Yeah, playoffs. But if you're not getting much better odds at playoffs versus the under, and I think if they hit the over, they're making the playoffs. Like if they get to 9 wins, they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So for just a little bit less odds, give me the under.
All right. You want to do the schedule and then we'll wrap this thing up?
Absolutely. All right, so getting started, Browns Cowboys week 1. A lot of Cowboys fans are worried about this game. I am not.
I'm swapping mine on this one. I'm going Cowboys there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming CeeDee Lamb plays, which I think one way or another CeeDee Lamb is playing this game. The Cowboys offense was a completely different unit after Mike McCarthy took over play calling last year. After another, don't get me wrong, another embarrassing playoff loss. We usually start the season solid. Granted, it's usually against the Giants, so I get that. But yeah, give me the Cowboys going on the road to the Browns.
I think this game's going to be ugly as shit. I think Mike Zimmer is going to like pull some wild stuff out of his bag, and the Browns defense is going to be keeping up with it, and the Cowboys will win by 2 points.
Yeah, I could see that, and I could also see Dak going off and the defense just absolutely exploding to where the defense forces 4 turnovers, Dak throws for 4 or 5 touchdowns, and then
I'd be shocked by the latter of that. I just don't know if anyone can do that against the Browns this year.
No, maybe not. I mean, I think it's going to be more because of the detriment of the offense rather than Cleveland's defense falling apart. Like, they'll give the Cowboys a lot of short fields. The defense will play kind of good, but you could only have so many short fields before you break.
Yeah.
Jaguars week 2. I mean, I expect a good year from Trevor Lawrence here. Give me the Jaguars.
I'm with you.
Obviously, Browns week 3. I already said Giants aren't winning a game against the AFC North. We both like the Raiders here, week 4, and then Commanders. Oh, man. I could see the Commanders being winless at this point, and this is like the Jaden Daniels game that gives every Commanders fan hope.
This is what gets so weird about the Browns, because it's like any team can beat them if their quarterback sucks.
Yeah,
but will they?
Give me the Commanders here. I think that's going to be a Commanders' first good win. And then the next week, after losing to the Commanders, I think they have a rebound game. The Browns are the perfect team to completely expose a Kellen Moore-led offense. And then Bengals, we already talked about it. I have Bengals week 7 versus the Browns. You have the Browns.
Yeah, the previous 2, I had the Browns against the Commanders, and I had the Eagles against the
so I have the Browns we both have the Browns making a little run here. Both like the Browns versus the Ravens the next week. We'll both like the Browns versus the Chargers the next week after that. Then I'll give the Browns this one too versus the Saints. I don't love the Saints team. This could be a Jameis Winston revenge game possibly. Who's to say that Deshaun Watson's still playing if Jameis Winston's playing that game versus the Ravens? I'm absolutely hammering Jameis in that game. And then we have Browns Steelers week 12 Thursday night football. Yeah, I like the way the schedule lines up for the Browns here. I like the Browns. And then we both, after a mini bye, we both have the Broncos here. I know the Broncos got to win some games. I think I have the Broncos going 3-13, so I don't want to change it. But now I kind of want to give this game to the Browns. But I think
I gave this to the Broncos. It was like they're gonna beat somebody, and a team with a big quarterback questions in Denver on Monday Night Football feels like a chance.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I already have the Broncos only winning 3 games. So it's like I can't take this one from them. But yeah, then we both have Steelers week 14. I have Chiefs week 15. You have the Browns.
I think the Browns are gonna just home game fighting for their playoff lives. I think they're gonna do something there.
Give it to them, baby. And then going to Cincinnati late in the season. Both have the Browns there.
Thursday night football.
Yeah. Sunday night football. Dolphins Browns. Dolphins going to Cleveland. This could be a cold game. Tila hates the cold. Give me the Browns. Then we both have the Ravens to finish out the season.
All right. So you've got the Brownies at 8-9. I've got them at 10-7.
Yeah. So I mean, I have Bengals winning 11, Browns winning 8, Ravens and Steelers both went in 10. That's kind of what I think about this division.
You need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. We need more dogs.